welcome to another episode of the Red Arrow Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Marco, with my smiley and giggly and bubbly co-host,
Jessica.
How's it going, Jessica?
It's going.
You look pretty happy today.
Yeah. It's Saturday.
It is. Saturday morning.
It's nice and quiet because there's nothing happening on Saturdays for once.
Recording on Wednesday night did not pan out. Recording on Thursday night did not pan out. Recording last night,
nope.
Yeah, wasn't happening.
No,
everything just ran so long. It's like I'm exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, had an adventure firing up the old pizza oven, which we haven't done in years.
We haven't. It has been a couple of years because we decided to start going low carb, and at the time we didn't know how to make like a low carb pizza in the pizza oven, but we figured it out last night.
Well, we've done so many low carb takes. We attempted the bacon weave once.
Oh, that
was disgusting.
That was gross.
We've done it on low carb tortillas.
I actually like that.
I crisped up those cheese folio, lactose free cheese.
Yep.
Things, crisped them up, and then put it on there and put it on the broiler to melt the cheese. But like that would not survive the pizza oven.
Oh no.
Where the air temp, we like to have it between 550 and 600 degrees Fahrenheit, and the stones are even hotter. Mm-hmm. So it cooks a pizza in under 2 minutes.
It's great.
From raw dough.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's awesome. And actually, even before we went low carb, things were busy because it does take time to fire it up, to tend it. Mm-hmm. It's just been a while since we've done it. And like, if it's a super hot day, we don't want to do it. If it's freezing cold out and snowy, we usually don't want to do it. So it has to be that perfect spring, fall, or cooler summer days where we want to stand by that thing or sit out there. Mm-hmm. But it worked. And usually we were using cornmeal or polenta to actually act as almost like ball bearings to slide that sticky dough out, because depending on the humidity, it's extra sticky.
Yeah.
And it sticks to the pizza peel. And if you don't know what that is, it's the giant paddle thing they use to launch the pizzas into the pizza ovens and pull it back out. Mm-hmm. Some people just use flour, but with the humidity outside in this part of Michigan, that just isn't sufficient. So we were going with the bigger pieces to kind of roll it in. Kids didn't like that. So yesterday we tried it with parchment paper. And we had to trim that parchment paper around the edge of the crust because it's hot in there and it's going to...
It burned.
It burned. But keeping it tight to the crust, it was just a little singe and ash, and it brushed off. And then as soon as it came out, that paper just slid right off.
It did.
So that worked out great.
Yeah, the kids didn't have that gritty feeling on the bottom of their pizzas that they always hated.
Yeah.
And it just...
Well, we'll keep experimenting with this because I want to do a pizza episode at some point.
Fun.
Yes. But by the time we wrapped up the pizza adventure...
It was late.
It was late. So here we are again in a morning recording that I'll probably still screw up and say tonight, because we usually do these at night. What are you drinking this morning?
I am having a big, tall glass of water.
Yay.
Yay. What are you having?
I am having a strong cup of coffee.
Fun.
My third this morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of caffeine.
Oh, I need it. I'm dragging. But coffee's not that exciting, and it's not even one of our coffee cocktails we discussed a while back. It's just straight up coffee. So how about we discuss my cocktail from last night after all the pizza adventures and we got the kids to bed?
Yes, let's do that. What was it called?
It was an Italian gentleman. An Italian gentleman, which was 2 ounces of bourbon, 2 ounces of Campari, 1 ounce of fresh lemon juice that I had squeezed, not that pre-made junk. Half an ounce of the low-carb simple syrup that we like.
Yeah.
That we have on hand, which is for us usually Torani. And then 2 to 3 dashes of orange bitters. And I put that all in a shaker with ice, shook it up, and then I poured it into a rocks glass with 1 giant cube. And I didn't even bother garnishing it. It was great. Slightly pinkish in color. You were making fun of it.
It was pretty.
It was
a very pretty drink.
The Campari will make it pinkish in hue.
The Campari will also make it a little bit bitter.
Well, yeah.
This is not a sweet drink, just so everybody is clear. It's not a super sweet.
Not super sweet, but it was sweet enough for me. Yeah.
It was not sweet enough for me.
Well, what were you drinking last night? Which is going to be more exciting than water. You got to give it a name.
I know that there was rum in it. Okay, so yeah.
Remember back. long time ago.
Back to last night. I had 3 ounces of gold rum and water and ice cubes and a couple of squirts of Mio. I used the fruit punch Mio and the black cherry Mio and mixed it up in my cup and drink it. It tastes like rum punch.
What kind of fancy drinkware did you use?
A red Solo cup. Because it was there.
It was Friday night.
It was Friday, and I didn't want to wash dishes.
There you go.
Yep. Fantastic.
Well, carefully with your water and my coffee.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. Clinkies.
Clinkies, and you didn't spill. How was your week?
It was long. It was a week.
Was it now? That's deep and prophetic.
Wasn't it?
Yes.
No, it was a good week. I got lots of stuff done at work. I got lots of stuff done at home. But
one of these weeks we need to talk about, like, we can't talk about your clients, but just in general, what does life as a behavior analyst look like? Would be a great episode, especially in the clinical sense like you are. And we could do a different one at some point, what life as a behavior analyst for me looks like, which is completely very different from what yours is.
I will say it's a little bit stressful.
Did you have insurance reports due this week?
Not exactly. I had a different type of report due.
Oh, okay.
So, but not an insurance
Parent
one.
meetings.
Insurance reports are super stressful because you want them to be just right.
Well, yeah, you want to get paid.
Right. And I want to keep my clients because they need to be with me.
Right. But you've done the work, so you'd like to get reimbursed for that work. Yeah, and then obviously you'd want the clients around because, one, they need the help. And, I mean, it's economics. It's right. You do the work, they get compensated for the work. We get to pay our bills. They get the services.
I like paying my bills. It's nice.
It's a symbiotic relationship, the circle of life.
I had parent training meetings this week, which are pretty awesome because I get to meet with parents and talk about how home is going with my clients because I see them all day at school, but I don't get a real feel for what their home life is like until I talk to mom and dad. And they fill me in on things, and I'm able to give them advice on any sort of problem or concern that they're having with their kids. It's pretty cool.
Cool. Right. Well, we'll save that for a big episode about you.
All about me. That's terrifying. How was your week?
My week was pretty good. Hockey. We did that hockey. There was lots of hockey going on. We did that hockey. There was a lot of hockey going on between the last episode and our recording right now. Mm-hmm. And we're just almost at the end of spring hockey for adults, spring hockey for the kids, spring hockey for goalie, everything. Last Sunday, though, last Sunday and Monday were kind of crazy.
Why?
Well, started with kid 1 got called in to goalie for bad hockey with like 3 hours notice. Mm-hmm. Bad hockey being not only are they bad at hockey, but beginner adult development hockey.
That's mean.
Hence they're bad. I mean, that's the joke, and it's not unique to just this rink. That is a thing in hockey. It's
hilarious.
Learn to play for adults. So she got called in for that on short notice. Had to do a little bit of a scramble to cover all the bases, to cover childcare because you had things going on.
Yeah.
And then she's coming off the ice, and I come running down the hallway, half dressed in my pads. I'm like, "Don't take off your pads." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "My goalie's not here." Her eyes, and all I can see because she's got not only her goalie mask on, she's got her
COVID mask?
Yeah, her Under Armour mask underneath. So all I can see are eyeballs and part of a headband and part of a mask on her nose. And then her eyes just get huge. So I run out where I got cell phone reception because it's kind of like the cone of silence in the rink. And I'm texting the dad of the goalie that's supposed to come in, who's an 18-year-old. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, we're on our way. We'll be there around 6:30. And it's like, game starts at 5:50.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, in hindsight, because I'm juggling the leagues and our family and my 2 teams and everything. Guys ended up sending them the wrong game time.
Whoops.
Yeah.
What happens?
Oops. It does not happen often with me. Super organized, but I screwed up. So I owned it. I owned it on the stat website we have. It's in the description that I screwed up. Mm-hmm. I took ownership with it with the entire team in the locker room. Like, it's my fault. But came running back in and like, I need you to sub. There's only 2 goalies in this building. One is the goalie for the other team.
Yeah.
And the other is the only goalie who showed up for bad hockey. Yeah, our 11-year-old daughter. So she said she did it, and so I'm going in, I'm writing in like every sub I can think of on the score sheet ahead of time, and the other captain's just like, no, don't put your kid in. Why don't you go get the goalie who played bad hockey today? I'm like, that was my kid. He's like, oh. And like one of the players on my team has a 13-year-old who was actually the original goalie I drafted. And he runs out and calls her, and she's like, yeah, I don't want to come play. Mm-hmm. And I wrote in the subs, or the other goalies from the other teams who are coming in. Yeah, they came in the rink, and like most of the players coming in for the next game just stood around the glass in awe of what was going on, because our kid was in net, and she's,
11.
Short, barely taller than a crossbow. Or yeah. So she skates out there, very nervous, trying not to show it. Has already played an hour of hockey when it's time to take the ice for warm-ups against the over 40 league, which we don't hold goalies to being over 40 because it's hard to find goalies over 40.
I bet.
And she's standing, she gets in the crease, and she looks across, and directly across from her is her primary goalie coach and mentor.
That's great.
Not to be confused with the one who runs goalie camp.
Okay.
No, the one who for the past couple of years has been sending her drills and talks to her and has been her head coach on some of her teams growing up, and the one that she respects to no end. They got a whole Jedi Master Padawan thing going on too. Yeah, they're goalie dorks together, I guess, in a good way. But and people have commented, and even I've commented, like, I mean, obviously he's the one doing the most training and the most influence on her, and she looks like a mini version of him. She moves like him. They have very similar looking pads. She has a smaller version of his pads. So it was kind of cool watching it, but at the same time, she was nervous. And to be fair, the rock star superstars on that other team don't need to beat up an 11-year-old to feel good, and they didn't.
That's good.
Their top scorer, their star player, like a few times he got in the slot, he went and he flexed his stick, which if you don't know what that means, the sticks these days are not made of wood anymore. They're composite materials, and it's you load it like a spring by pushing down on it, and then it just launches that puck. So people are really winding up on the big, wild slap shots anymore like you used to with the wooden sticks.
That's a good thing.
So he went and flexed his stick. You could see the shaft of the stick bend. It was loaded with potential energy, ready to release that puck. And then he uncoiled it and either skated off with it or shot to the corner. He did score. He lifted it up over her head and got it in.
Yep.
But the point was, that was pretty much a message to our whole team. I could really launch this thing at this 11-year-old, and I have the maturity and the security in myself and
to not do that,
to not kill this kid. They had another player who's a former state champion when he was in high school, who's also like a high school teacher, and he also was classy about it. Like, good. They wanted to win, but they were cool, and they basically let us know that, I could really destroy this goalie and score, but I don't need that to feel good about myself. So, and spoiler alert, we lost big.
Well,
but
that's okay.
Yeah. Now, some of their other players did not let off. I mean, there was one of their guys who's one of their top-ranked players who decided this was going to be his night to score like crazy. We had some lower-end players who just would not back off. There was one who decided to point blank, up close, fire a slap shot right into her face. Good thing she's got bars. He did apologize at goalie camp a few days later. He skated out and went up and apologized for that. He probably shouldn't have pulled the trigger on that one, which I've seen that guy do it at other goalies and high school goalies. And it's just like, dude, calm down. But she stood tall. She made some good saves. Her goalie coach said that was the best he's seen her play. A lot of the bad habits disappeared, and she really did take it one save at a time and kept her chin down, because she's notorious for lifting that chin up and looking down over the tip of her nose, which exposes the neck, even though she's got a big padded collar on.
Yeah.
The chin stayed down, and she tracked that puck. And she's also, we call her lazy goalie sometimes, because she'll wait till they'll get below the face-off dots before she really locks into her goalie position to be ready. Mm-hmm. And I'm always like, if they're past center ice in your kid games, your 12 games, you need to be ready. Well, anytime they approached the center ice line heading down her way, boy, she was in position. Even at the opening faceoff, she was not relaxed.
Good.
So she played great. She played 2 periods. She let 6 goals in, which actually gave her, out of all the goalies I've had, no, let's see, this was the 4th time I've played that team. This was the 4th different goalie I had in net against that team. And the only goalie that fared better through 2 periods was one who's a 48-year-old former college goalie. Mm-hmm. And we've lost all of them. So she did, I was really proud of her. She did great. Yay. And then the goalie that I had asked for came in relief in the last period. He let one in and we lost 7-0.
Nice.
Yay. Move on to consolation games.
7-0.
I know.
That's impressive.
Then I turned around and I hopped on for my, I had 1 game off. Then I hopped on the ice for my C League team and we won that. We're on to the championship. And then I subbed in the other C game after that and I won. Well, I was on the winning team. I mean, I played defense. I got a couple thank yous for like, oh, thank you for helping us win. I'm like, how about just thank you for not like torpedoing your team because this is my 3rd game of the night. How about just I held down the fort at my position? You guys did everything. I didn't score any goals. I just was there. But that team got an upset win, so that's the team I'll face in the championship on Sunday. And then I got a call asking me to sub in the AB League, so I went and played that. I played well. That team lost, but that team kind of sucks. So okay. they're pretty awful. They should work on paper. They just can't get it together out on the ice. And so that leads into the final set of games this weekend where Kid 1 and 2 have a rematch against that team from Hammond.
Yeah.
They're coming up. So I'm coaching. I'm behind the bench for that. As soon as they get off the ice, I'm coaching. Kid 3. Yeah, Kid 3's got a set of games for the U8s, and that'll be the final set of games for spring hockey. Then we get a little bit of a break, and then Kid 1 is back in net for it's not bad hockey per se, but one of the players run it out the ice, so it's going to be a mix of players and talents. She's playing that. Then I got to be... Are
you coming home at all on tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be home between the first set of kids' games, and then when we go back to the rink for Kid 1 to play goalie against the adults, and then I got to do commish duties and hand out the trophy to the over 40 championship game, and then I play in the consolation game after that, then I play in the C League championship after that. And hopefully I won't get asked to sub in that last game because I just want to go home. And then I'm back to the rink on Monday night to be the scorekeeper and hand out the trophy for the AB League.
Fun.
It's thrilling. It's hockey, hockey, hockey.
I'm surprised Mr. Rink owner doesn't want to hand out trophies.
No, he's cool. He doesn't want to.
He's cool.
He doesn't want to.
No, he's good.
He does not want to think about men's league hockey.
That's funny.
That's why he lets the commissioner do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then all of this, that was basically all Sunday afternoon. And along with Sunday afternoon, you had stuff going on. You had Girl Scouts.
I did have Girl Scouts. We had our first in-person meeting of the year. We were all masked, and we stayed apart, and it was really, really nice.
Outdoors even.
Yes, we held it outdoors because that's what Girl Scout says we can do. If we want to be in person, we have to be outside, which is totally fine because it was a gorgeous day. But we did have Yeah, I know. We did have our final meeting of the year. And previously, kid number 1 told me that this was going to be it. She was going to be all done with Girl Scouts. And I was like, oh, I'm so sad to hear that. But are you sure? And she was like, I'm sure. And I was like, okay. So I had told my co-leader and I was like, this is apparently it. She doesn't want to do it anymore. I'm really sorry. And we were all sad about that. Well, we go to our last meeting of the year, and she's running around with her friends, and they're like chatting, and they're playing games and doing all of these fun things. We had a lot of activities for them to do while we were at the meeting. And at the end of the meeting, she gets in the car, and she goes, I want to do Girl Scouts again next year. And I was like, are you serious right now? And she said, yeah. And I was like, okay. But are you sure? Because COVID could totally happen again, and we could all be locked down again, and it could be...
It's not completely gone yet.
Exactly. It could be like the same as it was this year, and you didn't love it. And she's like, I just really want to be with my friends, and I want to do it again. And I said, okay. So later that afternoon, my friend and co-leader, came to pick me up because we were all going to dinner in celebration of my birthday. And I would get in the car and I was like, I have fun news. And she goes, oh, what is it? And I said, kid number 1 wants to be in Girl Scouts again. And she said, yay. So she's going to do Girl Scouts again. It's super fun.
So this
makes me co-leader again.
This was intermixed with the hockey stuff.
Yeah.
So they had Girl Scouts and then to the rink for hockey, and then while we were still at the rink for hockey, you were out to dinner. Mm-hmm. But during the warm-ups, when I went over to Kid 1 trying to give her an out, I'm like, are you nervous? Are you scared? She goes, a little bit. I'm like, okay, why? Well, because the Girl Scouts chose for the end of the year activity to do a ropes course. And I'm thinking, there's a minute and a half before you're going to face shots from 40-year-old men and over, and you're worried about a rope course.
So they actually did. We had them vote.
So they communicated to me, like, you are really nervous.
Yep. But we did have them vote on their end of the year activity, and the majority of the girls picked to do this rope course thing in the woods, and kid number 1 is terrified of heights. So this should be interesting. And she got upset when they picked it. She tried to hide under a table. It was really funny. But yeah, so we're gonna work through that, and I'm sure we'll have fun stories once that comes to pass. Between
finally going along with the ropes course thing and deciding to sign back on for Girl Scouts, and that's also will be helpful to her peers because they miss her too.
Yeah.
And then also jumping in and bailing out her dad and his friends and playing goalie against highest scoring. Yeah, old people, the highest scoring team of old people in the Old People League. At Taekwondo, she ended up getting surprised with a courage patch.
She did.
So she's got this patch which has the school name on it and a big lion that needs to go on his shoulder. So, yay, you get to sew another patch on her uniform.
No.
Or hand it off to my mom.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sewing is hard.
Oh, I know. Mm-hmm. But it was an exciting day.
It was.
Yeah. Well, let's leave it at that. That's enough for an intro of the week. Let's get into the main topic tonight. It's going to be definitely a health and wellness. We've got mental health, physical health, all rolled into one with this one. And we'll have some fun. We'll have some stories. Let's have some segue music and go. Jessica.
Marco.
Let's talk about stress.
Okay. Stress.
I wish we had the license for Under Pressure.
I know.
That would be playing great. That right now. Yeah.
Don't want David Bowie to sue you,
though. His estate.
Still.
I mean, if he sued me, it'd be cool because he'd still be alive.
Or he would be a ghost, and that would be cool, too.
Zombie Bowie, who'd be the next evolution in David Bowie. Anyway. Stress. All right. First off, let's get through the basics on stress. Stress is natural. It exists in the world around us. It's one of those, it's necessary things. I mean, it is a heightening of the senses. It's part of the fight or flight response. Mm-hmm. Short-term, intermittent occasions of stress are good for you. Getting that heart rate up, helping you respond and take off. Performing under pressure, whether that's athletically or intellectually at work or whatever, it happens. It's normal. Too little in your life is actually considered bad for you because you want those periodic instances where that heart rate gets up and you get going and the adrenaline starts going. Too much of it is also bad for you. It's everything in moderation. Are you looking at my notes in there that says too much is bad? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's not go through. We don't want to say you want no stress in your life because...
No. You need a little bit.
Yeah, in biological sense, you do need a little bit. Mm-hmm. You just don't want the amount too much, the degree that, especially for adults in general, we're getting too much in our lives, especially the way the work life is going in the United States. It's getting to be too much stress and not enough sleep and too many unhealthy habits. So we're going to dive into a lot of that. And there's, we'll talk about X factors and whatnot. But first, going through, let's go through some of the biological pieces to this that having too much stress in your life can result in. And you're the biology major in our relationship.
Okay, minor.
You start off as you were a biology major, right?
I was.
At one point? Before you came
at the beginning. And then I discovered I was bad at chemistry.
Back in the day. Yeah. All right, so we'll go head to toe with this. Jess, too much stress, headaches.
Stress can trigger an intensified tension headaches. Those hurt. And if you're super stressed out all the time, your head is just going to hurt nonstop. And it sucks. I've been there. Not fun.
How about gastrointestinal distress?
Yeah, heartburn. So stress actually increases the production of your stomach acid, which is what causes that heartburn. And that hurts too. Your tummy will hurt. Your chest will hurt as it rises up through your esophagus.
Especially if it's coming back up through that.
Exactly. It burns.
Yeah.
Hence the name. Right. So, that's not fun.
What about your breathing and your heart rate? I mean, part of that fight or flight response is elevated breathing. It's increased heart rate, so that you could be at an evolutionary stance.
If you need to run, you're ready to do it.
If you got
your muscles will tense up, and you will breathe faster, and your heart will beat faster. Your muscles will tense up, and you'll breathe faster, and your heart rate will shoot through the roof, so that if you need to escape some sort of really terrifying situation, you can do that. But you don't want to be an extended period of this where it's going on for days and days or weeks on end. This is like 15 minutes is good. 14 days is not good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And part of that rapid breathing and increased heart rate is also a constriction of the blood vessels, and that increases, of course, blood pressure. That's just the pure physics of the matter. Mm-hmm. But operating with that increased blood pressure for an extended period of time does damage to the arteries and does damage to the heart.
Right.
And puts you at risk of heart attack.
Don't want that.
And especially if you compound that with an unhealthy lifestyle, you really can put yourself at risk of a heart attack.
Clogging those arteries too.
Yeah. Let's move down the line a little bit, though. Beyond the heart and the esophagus, what about other problems can you have?
You can have fertility problems.
Yay.
Yeah. But stress can definitely interfere with the reproductive system in both men and women, and it can make it harder to conceive.
And think about that at an evolutionary standpoint, way back when.
Yeah.
Not in our lives, but if, and actually any creature, if you're stressed out, you're basically under attack, you're running for your life, probably not the time to have children.
No.
If you got predators around, it's just like, nope, this is not the time for a little nookie. And that also leads into, for males, it can lead into erectile dysfunction. If you're stressed out, it's not helping the situation.
It's not going to work.
High chance you're not going to perform under
God.
pressure.
Probably.
Probably not. You know what? And that difficulty with fertility and erectile dysfunction linked to and menstrual issues and all sorts of those kind of issues linked to that stress just further compounds the fact that you can have an increased probability of
depression. Yay!
So funny saying depression with an upbeat voice.
Well, I mean,
I know.
It's depression. It's very sad.
Chronic stress does wear you down emotionally, and that can set you up for clinical depression.
Absolutely, because you'll enter into these negative thought patterns that are cyclical, and you can't escape them.
We're not just talking about like a sad day
No.
or a rough afternoon or a rough day. We're talking about extended periods meeting the clinical definition of depression, although it certainly can set in for I'm just not in the mood today.
Yep.
And all that depression and the extra stress, and they added into cardiovascular issues and everything, can also contribute to insomnia.
Insomnia, not the inability to fall asleep. Stay asleep.
Which is also a downward spiral, because as you're more and more tired and sleep deprived, that increases the, it's almost like a multiplying X factor that increases the stress, the relative level of stress increases when you have less sleep. So the same situation for the same person, if they're sleep deprived, they will feel more stressed than under other conditions.
Yep.
And of course, that makes you more prone to more insomnia, which is less sleep, and it's just a spiral.
And that is going to also affect your depression levels. But if you're not sleeping, your immune system is also not having a chance to rest and replenish itself, which means you are going to be more prone to getting sick.
And wearing you down, which makes you increased probability of depression and fertility, and libido goes down, which makes you more depressed and more down and more tired and just more stressed out. And it just builds and builds and builds.
Yep. It's very bad.
And internally, you've got other things going on, such as when you get into
sugar.
When you get into the cycle.
High blood sugar and high blood pressure. which we've already touched on.
Which
But
puts you at further risk of a heart attack.
Right. But the high blood sugar is especially terrifying because if your sugar is elevated for so long, you can actually be at risk for type 2 diabetes. And that is definitely something you don't want to get.
Yes.
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 Diabetes is not so fun.
Diabetes is bad, okay? Avoid it if you can, okay?
Yep.
All this, and last but not least, and certainly there's much, much more that goes on with all this, tense muscles.
Tense muscles.
Stressing you out, and that can also lead into muscle cramps. Like, I know I used to get really bad muscle spasms and muscle cramps when I was very stressed out.
In your sleep.
In my
Which
sleep.
means you weren't sleeping either because they will wake you up out of a dead sleep.
Yes. And I was not very physically active. So it's not like, well, I've been working out and I'm dehydrated and all this stuff and like, cramping because like when I'm playing these 3 or 4 hockey games in a row, I can start feeling my legs start to cramp up.
Sure.
Or when we're doing triathlons or really long bike rides, there's cramping issues. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't where I was in that point in the life. And it's just all of a sudden tense muscles because I was having a dream and which was further stressing me out because I was dreaming about work, which is more of a nightmare at that point in my career. And it just, the heart rate's going up and like I could look at my Fitbit or whatever device I was wearing at the time, heart rate data like spiking in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, not good. Not good. So too much stress in your life is absolutely
It's going to adversely affect every single system you have in your body.
Yes. Now, your biology / genetics can influence how you handle stress, how much stress you can handle, how you'll respond to stress. Relatively speaking, some people handle it better than others. The other part is training. Some folks are trained to handle stressful situations. So relatively speaking, if you've been through training, especially those who have been in the military, medical professions, EMTs, even law enforcement are trained so that when they get into a stressful situation, they can fall back on their training and handle it. But that said, no one is impenetrable. No one can take unlimited amounts of stress for extended periods of time.
No, you're going to crack.
You're going to crack. Some can just last longer, take higher levels, and take it for longer than others. But at the end of the day, everybody needs downtime, and everyone needs stuff in, relatively speaking, relative terms, moderation on the stress load.
Yeah.
Which is what we don't get. Oh. Even under ideal situations, or ideal conditions, with the most training, with physical fitness, with all that, with genetics on your side, too much stress could ultimately kill you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jess, how do you respond to intense stress?
I will binge eat candy.
What's your candy of choice when stressed out?
Chocolate. It's any kind of chocolate I can get my hands on, and it is a terrible time because I will eat fistfuls of it and not think anything about it, which is very bad. But later, after I've binged on it, I will feel very bad about that decision, and it will affect my mental health for a couple of days, and it will just
start the spiral.
It's a bad spiral, so that's not so great. Also, I don't sleep very well when I'm super stressed out. And when I do manage to fall asleep, I will actually have panic attacks in my sleep, which wake me up, which is terrifying because it's like, good, I'm dying. I'm having a heart attack right now. Let me just roll over and hold your hand while I die and it'll be fine.
It makes coping with that whole stressful situation even harder because now you got less sleep.
Exactly. And you have to wake up and you have to go do the things in the day and take care of the kids and all the house, stuff on no sleep now and also full of panic attacks. What else do I do when I'm stressed? I actually don't exercise when I'm stressed because I feel like I need to be hyper-focused on fixing whatever the problem that I'm having is. And I will ignore everything else. So no exercise, no exercise. Yeah. Let's see. What else do I do when I'm stressed? I cry. Lots of tears. But I do it covertly so nobody knows about it. What do you do when you're stressed? That's enough
I
about me.
would say it's not that covertly. Like your eye color changes when you've been crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, what do you do when you're stressed?
I feel like this one I need to break into old me and current me. Because I've changed so much and I've changed things about myself so much. So old me, and I'm basically a workaholic. No matter what I'm doing, I keep throwing myself into things and long hours and just can't stop. And especially when really, I don't know. I mean, keep trying to figure out when did this all start, but like undergrad?
Yeah.
Before then, I just would start, who needs sleep? What was it? When I was my last year at Western, I'd go for every week. It was at least once there'd be a 2 to 3 day span where I didn't sleep. I was just pounding Red Bulls and candy and working nonstop, and then I would crash.
Yeah.
And then I'd get up and do it again. I was taking 19 credits. I was working on research projects and running teams and consulting and had a side job and was honor society webmaster stuff. And yeah, trying to get into grad school. And it was just, my entire life hinged on, I mean, I couldn't plan anything in my life. I didn't know where I was going to grad school, if I was getting into grad school, any of it.
Yep.
And it kind of started there. And then I got into grad school and things calmed down for a little bit until it ramped up again with all the research. And then like, oh, what's work and teach and plan a wedding and run research projects and what's my life going to be like after that. And yeah. And I'm of course taking 6 hours of live data a day. We're going in
at night
and day in 3-hour shifts. And we're looking at video analytics, archival data. And I've still got to do all my other work. And who needs sleep? And that led into heading up to DC and doing projects. And some of the projects were kind of mundane and boring, but other ones were literally life and death across the planet. So there's stress, and you don't want to let down your client. You don't want to let down the end user of your products and your research. And you also know that it's just pretty heavy situation for the type of work I was doing in government contracting there.
Yeah.
And that was stressed out. I mean, something goes wrong in the world, and it's like, Jess, can you bring me clothes? I know I work a few miles away from the house, but I'm not coming home all week, and I'm not going out of town, and I'm not flying, and they're not flying me across the country.
Although I'm just going to sit in this office for a week. I'm just
going to sit in this office for a week, and sometimes I'm going to work for like 36, 38 hours straight. Like at one point, the president of the company was going to come in and basically take me to task for my attire in a conference room. And my boss smartly swept in and goes, yeah, he's wearing a Florida State sweatshirt, which they didn't like my Florida State sweatshirt, and running pants. He's also on hour 38 of addressing a situation because something went bad on the planet, and he's leading his entire team into solving it. And that was stressful. That was stressful doing that at, plus I'm looking around the room. And even like the first time I went to a team meeting up in DC, I walk in, I sit down at the conference table, and they're like, hey, intern's in the back. I'm like, you, I'm one of the senior scientists here. I mean, these are old, the average age at the table
in the back, that's
was in their 60s, and I was in my 20s. And then later on, I ended up at another job, and all my peers who were running teams were retired lieutenant colonels and colonels. And I was still in my 20s, and I was running multiple teams, and they each had one. So there's stress, and yeah, it was not good, and I was not in a good place. And so my response to stress during that phase of my life, so I guess undergrad, grad, and after being postgraduate work, it wasn't postgrad, but after it all was eat and not think about it as eating. I wouldn't call it emotional eating. It was also almost emotionless eating because...
mindless eating.
Definitely mindless eating. One hand just putting things in my mouth while I'm running the mouse and typing with the other hand. And salty, sweet stuff. So like cookies and potato chips. And we would go out and we'd quickly grab food, and there was a Five Guys nearby. So then Five Guys, really thick burgers, which are super greasy and just...
French fries that are also
it's
super
that comfort
greasy.
food, yeah. but then go back, sit in a chair and not move, and then eventually get up and go get some other food that's not healthy, greasy, fatty foods. Yeah, a lot of that. Mm-hmm. I'd also be very grumpy, very moody, very short fuse, very difficult to live with and be around, which just adds to the stress and the frustration because now you're mad at me, my family's mad at me, my friends are mad at me because I'm being a
Yep.
Yeah. And that I'm not, not thinking about other people's feelings. Which, of course, when I realize what I've done, then that adds to the sleeplessness, which makes me even moodier and grumpier and binge eating more. And then I look in the mirror and like, what the oh, I'm just a fat I can't, where'd it go? Sometimes couldn't see it. Yeah, and just, they talk about like exercise, fresh air. Well, I definitely wasn't doing that for the longest time.
No, you were locked in a box every day. There was no fresh air. There weren't even windows.
No. And even at home, and there was several times where I tried, and we've talked about this, try to restart and get on a good, healthy trend and physical fitness trend. I couldn't sustain it because more stressful situations would come up or I would get frustrated and it was tough. So that's then. Now when I run into stress, I do like to exercise. Hockey is a big stress reliever for me, and that's not the cathartic, let me go hit things because it's a non-checking leagues that I play in. Mm-hmm. It's the exercise. It's the skating. It's just the sweating it out, going for runs, especially I love getting to go run with kid one. Coaching was a stress reliever. Got outside, got to think about things that were not work related or any of those other stressors in adult life. Hopping on my bike and going for big bike rides. When COVID hit, that was a stressful period when it's like, there's all the uncertainty. You and I would go for just big, long bike rides and just seeing how far it kept getting further and further and further.
Yeah.
And almost concentric circles around the house so that we were never too far if we got a message that was like straight line back to kid one who was keeping an eye on all the other kids. But at the same time, we were adding up those miles. That helps. And it's a positive thing because I'm also releasing those endorphins, getting fresh air, working those muscles. And it also helps because I'm exercising, helps me sleep, which makes me be less grumpy and less of a yeah. But I would say the stress through those undergrad, grad, and the working when we were in DC, the various companies, was a huge factor in my huge weight gain.
For sure.
To the point where like my resting heartbeat, like I'd walk out to the lobby if I needed a 10-minute break and I'd just sit there for 5 minutes and then I would check my pulse either on my Fitbit or my phone. At that point, I could put my finger over the camera and it just give me a rough estimate where my resting heart rate was. And it's like, yeah, this isn't good. Like I can go play a hockey game now and have my active heart rate where the old resting one was after sitting for 5 minutes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm healthier now.
Much more. Mm-hmm.
For you, though, these days, what are, just in general in your adult life, what are the biggest stressors for you?
Kids. I'm always concerned with whether or not they're happy, if they're healthy, if we're them up in a wide variety of ways. Because, that's what parents do. They screw up their kids, right?
Yeah.
I am always worried about finances. Work is interesting. It's stressful when you have like an insurance report due. And it's a little, other than that though, my job is pretty fun and I really love it. So beyond like worrying about whether or not my clients are improving, which fortunately most of them are, I don't have a lot of work stress. It's a really nice job. It's a nice company to work for. I'm very, very happy there. So it's nice that I don't have to have stress. I don't have a lot of stress with regard to work. That's very lovely because that's usually a huge stressor on a lot of people. And I don't really have that right now. It's great. Yeah, those are probably my biggest stressors. How about you?
You pretty much hit on the biggest ones I have. My biggest ones in no particular order really would be professional work type stress. Obviously money, bills, expenses, finances. We're adults. We're in our 40s. Yeah, that stresses everybody out. And then the kids, of course, kid 2, and kid 2's on the autism spectrum, and he's ADHD, and so making sure he's going to be okay, and what does the future hold for him?
Yeah.
Kid 3,
Kid 3's being a turd.
Kid 3 can be a turd sometimes, so making sure that he grows up to be a good functioning
Good
member
human.
of good human. That sometimes, especially when he's having one of his days and just being a little is he going to be a nice human being, which he usually is, but when he gets tired, boy, that kid likes to push everybody's buttons. You could tell he's the child of 2 psychologists, except for he uses his powers for evil instead of good when he's tired.
Yeah.
So he's pushing buttons. So we're getting him to, like, come on, grow up to be a loving, wonderful person all the time and not just when he's in a good mood.
Right.
And that's stressful sometimes. And then, like, kid 1 and kid 4, just life, what does life hold for them? Are they going to develop and be, get into a good school and have all the opportunities and, have just life be wonderful? I mean, you want everything for your kids.
Right.
Yeah. So those are the biggest stressors. What about moderate stressors for you? Not those things that just keep you up at night, but it's kind of like little. It's
pretty much my big stressors, only maybe to a lesser degree. I don't really. Those are pretty much it. Mm-hmm. How about you?
I mean, for me, it's the kids again.
Yeah.
Will they be okay? Are they happy, healthy, etc.? So it's really like the big ones are the long-term stuff.
Yeah.
With the kids, and the moderate ones would be the day-to-day.
Oh, like,
are they happy, healthy?
Did you have
today?
a good day at school? I hope you did.
Well, yeah. Are you getting sick? Are you,
Okay.
Are you going to make it through the week? Did you stay up too late one day and that's going to make it rough?
Mm-hmm.
Am I being too hard on them when they get in trouble and they break the house or start throwing stuff or
break the house?
Honestly,
broken house is probably
moderate when I
stressor.
Yeah, when I go and I look and on the leather couch in the living room and there's toothpaste all over it, and it's like, was the response appropriate? The parental response or not enough or whatever. And then also the house, like what the is going to break next? It's the joys of being a homeowner.
Yeah, joys in quotations. Joys.
There's always something. So it's like, okay, what do we have to address? What are we planning out? What's the long-term, remodel on this or that? What can we put off? What's the maintenance cycle? That kind of stuff. I mean, those aren't the kind of stressors, and these moderate stressors aren't the ones that are going to kill you, but they're the ones that's like, okay, take a breath and move on. Mm-hmm. And then we got the kind of low stress. It's just like, it comes. You might have a small uptick in heart rate for a short period of time, but it's, not going to have a health detriment. What would be the kind of the low stress things for you?
Marriage. I'm not stressed about our marriage. You and I are really well matched, so
I'm not stressed about our marriage either, and I don't want to put that as like I'm taking you for granted. It works.
Like I said, we're really well matched. We get along very well, so that's nice that it's
even
not.
When we fight, because everybody fights and we get into fights.
They're stupid. They're stupid.
They're usually paired with a lack of sleep and stress from like the big heavy stressors.
Right.
Compound it, and it develops into some sort of like ridiculous, stupid fight over.
Yeah. Like when I was pregnant with kid number 4 and we got into a fight over batteries.
I don't remember.
You don't remember? No. I'm surprised because I told you that like...
I remember kid number 1, we got into a fight over text message because you wanted ice cream and you couldn't decide what kind of ice cream, and I'm standing in the frozen food aisle, and then finally I just said, to hell with it, and came home with over $40 in ice cream because I didn't know what flavor you wanted. Neither did you.
That was a good day. I like that.
For you.
The fight worked out well for me, so... It was delicious.
Yes.
But no, marriage is not really a stressor. Low stress.
For us.
Yeah, for us.
Actually, it's a comfort. It helps. It's a stress relief having you there. Because you can also like know how to get me to back down without like going, you need to chill the out, because that's just going to stress me out more and get me wound up. And you actually know how to get me to
calm down. Well, 20 some odd years, you learned a few things. How about you? What are your low stressors?
Marriage with you, and coaching for the most part is low stress. Although sometimes when dealing with parents, you get a spike in
that's a little bit different than actual coaching.
Well,
like on the field or on the ice with the kids is real coaching.
It comes with the role, but
I know.
there's intermittent spikes due to parents, but the actual working with the kids is relatively low stress. In a clinical sense, in the course of a game, like if you hook me up to a bunch of sensors and monitors, you could say the games, there's stress related, but it's that excitement and the fun of, are they going to score? Are they not? Is kid one going to stop the puck or not? Are they going to make the pass? I mean, that's all those fun stuff, and it's low stress. And that's the normal ups and downs you'd want to have.
Yeah.
And the same goes for commish life, being commissioner of the adult hockey leagues. For the most part, it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's relaxing for me. I can sit down and, write up the synopsis for each game and have that. There are certain points, usually the start and the end of the season, where it is a little bit more stressful because that's, in terms of the timeline, getting it all put together and making it take off so it runs well and smoothly. And occasionally we run into, like, on the disciplinary end where it's not fun, where I'm, got 19-year-olds telling me I'm a toy and go myself. That's going to be a lot of bleeps, but that was just this season. That was from a player who wasn't even involved in the disciplinary action. He just chimed in to give me his 2 cents on me. It's like, well,
you got called a toy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but all in all, the commissioner stuff's low stress, and then there's the no stress, relaxing stuff we have. What do you got, Jess? What relaxes you? It's
Movies.
the exact opposite of big stressors. Movies.
I like movies.
What kind of movies?
It doesn't matter.
Horror movies.
I mean,
suspense.
Okay, so horror movies are not so great because if it's a well-done horror movie, it's going to make your heart rate shoot through the roof.
It's supposed to.
I know, but they're fun.
It's supposed to trigger that fight or flight that makes you go flying off the couch and running to lock yourself in the bathroom. Or
no, never lock yourself in the bathroom while watching a horror movie because there's a creepy clown.
Well, don't say I'll be right back because you won't be.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. No. Also, yeah. Anyways, I don't know.
Well, toss it to me.
Okay, what do you have that's low stress or
relaxing? You and our marriage is relaxing. Honestly, the kids are relaxing when they're not stressing us out. Like, there are those times where it's just, I'm having fun, enjoying being with them. Kid 4, when she's tired, she comes over and just curls up next to you on the couch, and, when you're watching a movie or something. And
yeah,
it's, we're doing art projects or something when they're not dumping paint all over the house or the kitchen table. And it's fun. Coaching is an outlet. I like teaching.
Oh,
that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Just relaxes, and it's an outlet. And of course, exercise, especially just going for a run, not under race conditions. Not where you're like, I want to perform well.
To do well.
I want to do well. I paid all the money for this race.
Right. No, my other ones are like reading books because I love doing that, especially if I can get uninterrupted reading time for longer than 15 minutes. And also photography. I love taking pictures. It's not a secret. And if I can make a beautiful image for somebody else, it's even better.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will say that one of the ways that, for me, that was relaxing and was kind of fun that I was doing for a while was even, you got me some homebrew kits, really small ones. We're making a gallon of beer at a time, and I had a couple of them so I could get some batches going. Mm-hmm. And before everyone jumps over me and go like, oh my God, when you're stressed out, alcohol's not the answer. Yeah, but the process of making beer, it's not like I'm so stressed out, I need to pound a bunch of beers and like that I will have in a month when this is done.
Yeah.
It was just I find cooking enjoyable, and it's really, it's a cooking process. It's a chemistry process. It was something I could do with the kids. We did the science experiments and made different types of beer. But since I've gone low carb and I've cut back, I
haven't been doing it.
I haven't been doing it. We've been busy. So to take, because it was several hours, basically to have a Sunday afternoon to do it or a snow day to do it. Well, with COVID and everybody home, or snow days are virtual days, so then they're doing homework. There's not time for me to sit at the stove and hang out in the kitchen for several hours working on this batch of beer. Nope. So we haven't done that much. It is fun, and we even spoke about this when we did our parenting in the time of COVID, the experimenting with cocktails at home and happy hour. We spoke about that with Holly and Jeremy. Yeah. So that's kind of fun. You do have to, of course, watch out. Alcohol is a depressant.
Yes.
So if you're in that super stressed out and
you're in a downward
downward spiral with
the alcohol is just going to exacerbate that.
Yes,
and make
especially
you feel worse.
if you're flirting with clinical depression.
Right.
You do not want to add that to the mix. Mm-mm. But if it's just kind of like, you know what, it's happy hour, you and I, let's come up with a cocktail to pair with dinner or with podcasting. It's kind of fun to experiment with how can we work some fresh herbs into this, or let's do something we've never done before. Yeah. And that's
try new flavors.
Yeah.
All good.
Well, we don't want to stress people out by talking about stress too much. So I don't want to make this a super long episode, but just what are some tips for managing stress?
Go exercise. This one is hard for me because I don't love to exercise. There's a
fun t-shirt, lots of fun t-shirts out there that say, I got 99 problems, but I'm going to ignore all of them while I go for a 5-mile run.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, though.
Clear your head, go for a bike ride, go for a run, go for a walk, go play hockey. And you come home, you're exhausted, and you sleep well. Usually about 3 hours after you finish the exercise. But you sleep well, you wake up refreshed, it clears your head, and gives you a chance to reset. What do you have next?
Watch what you eat. So do not do what I do and pound chocolate when you get stressed out. It's a really bad idea because it's just going to make you feel worse later.
I'm sorry, so many jokes about the pounding chocolate.
But no, don't do that.
Yeah. Don't pound chocolate. Don't pound the Chips Ahoy. We've talked about that.
The mashed potatoes. Stay away from the mashed potatoes.
Cheese.
Cheese.
All the cheese.
Yeah.
It just starts that negative. Binging food starts creating that negative cycle. Then you don't feel good about yourself. One, you don't feel good because you got a stomach ache, but you don't feel good about yourself. You look in the mirror, you get upset. That adds to the stress level because now you don't feel like you're good enough, pretty enough, whatever.
Yeah. And
it's that spiral. Actually, watch the diet. And they call them comfort foods for a reason, but don't comfort yourself in food. Mm-hmm. And one way to help break that up is actually look for bright, herbal, citrusy, fresh flavors that helps. It actually does have a psychological effect of lifting the mood instead of like, I'm going to have heavy mashed potatoes coated in butter with big old brown gravy on top and fried chicken with it. While that all sounds good.
It does sound good.
But when you have a mountain of that on your plate, you're not going to feel good.
No, you're not going to feel good an hour later. You're going to feel like garbage.
Small amounts of that, in moderation, it's all things in moderation, is fine. But if you're trying to bury your feelings under all that gravy and mashed potatoes and fried breaded chicken, it's not going to work. Brighten it up. Have a piece of
strawberries.
Fruit.
They will make you so happy.
Yeah.
Because they're delicious and they're bright red. And also,
I don't know if they're going to make you happy, but they'll help set the conditions for heading that direction.
Yeah.
And certainly don't binge on all
Don't eat the chocolate.
I'll say a Costco-sized bag of Dove chocolate in one sitting.
That'd be great. Don't do that.
What else do you have?
Schedule sleep. Give yourself a bedtime and actually stick to it and go to bed on time. Find some way to get the wiggles out before you actually go to bed at your bedtime so that you are ready to sleep when you get into the bed at the end of the day.
And then it goes with coordinating with our first item on this list, which was the exercise. Mm-hmm. Exercise and set up, be sure that when you're looking at your schedule, you're marrying the sleep and the exercise so they can work with each other instead of against each other.
Yep. Sorry.
What else do you have?
Talk about it and vent. Get all of those negative thoughts out. Send them out into the world. Talk at your spouse. Talk at your best friend. Find a message board that you enjoy being on. You remember message boards? And type out all of those thoughts and feelings and stressors and just send it out into the ether and get it out of your head.
Don't suffer in silence. Don't have that internal downward spiral where it's me versus the world. I'm all alone on this. You're not. There's plenty of other people out there. There's helplines. There's all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. The caveat on this is be careful you don't find a audience that just spirals it and amplifies it worse.
Yeah.
So that's out there. You got to find a receptive audience who either will take it and just will actively listen and then wash it away.
Right.
Or build you up. But you also get one, oh yeah, that sucks. That's horrible. Oh, and just compound the problem. So you do have to be careful. Evaluate your audience. But aside from that, get those feelings out and just remind yourself you're not alone. People care about you. People want to help you. Mm-hmm. Be sure you find the people who want to
if they're your friend, they'll want to at the very least, just listen to what you have to say and be that sounding board for you. And if you're really close, and you have that kind of relationship, they will want to help you find a way to get whatever kind of help it is that you need to deal with that stressful situation.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And number 5 on our list.
Avoid pitfalls.
Such as?
Drugs and alcohol. You don't want to... it's nice to have a drink every now and then, maybe even an evening if you're so inclined. But you don't want to be using them.
Not 5 an evening.
You don't want to have 5 an evening. You don't want to be doing every drug on the planet every single day. Or maybe any day. I don't know. I don't.
Jesus. Oh my God.
You don't want to do that. You do not want to try and mask your feelings with drugs and alcohol because it's not going to work, and you're going to wind up with some sort of addiction, and then you'll have to deal with that on top of all of your stress,
which is just going to make you more depressed.
Going to make the whole thing 1,000 times worse. So be very, very careful with those.
Any drugs, alcohol, food, anything that you're masking the feelings. But feelings are there. They're natural. You have to deal with them, though.
Yeah,
you have to address them. You can't hide from them. You can't bury them because all of that, no matter what you're doing to hide them, bury them, is unhealthy. At some point, you have to address those feelings and the causes. What's eliciting those responses out of you? You've got to go address those issues.
Absolutely.
And with all these 5 tips that we put together, of course, as usual, we've mentioned this in other podcasts, if it doesn't improve, and I don't mean like the next day or the next week, but if you're trying to address these problems, these issues, and they're not improving over time, go seek professional help. That's why those professionals are there. That's why they've dedicated their lives to this. Mm-hmm. Go, lean on them, get that help.
Don't be afraid of medicine. It's really nice and it does work.
Medicine, therapy, action, but you've got to reach out, and that's part of that communication. You've got to be willing to ask for help. Yep. Cool. Well, this is
This was our most stressful episode yet.
Actually, it wasn't, but we've trying to do this upbeat because stress, you could definitely, doing a stress episode could just spiral down into like a doom and gloom. So trying to keep it upbeat, entertaining, but really get that message across.
Yes.
I think we did it.
I think so too.
I think so.
All right,
hey, before we go, speaking of exercise and running off the crazy, we've got our own version of helping people run off the crazy, and that is the Red Arrow Challenge.
Yep.
You want to explain it?
Nope.
The Red Arrow Challenge is our weekly multi-sport competition. It's virtual. Sign up. You can go to our Instagram, the link in the bio. Our Instagram account is Red Arrow HW. You can create a username and then every week put in your totals for any of these categories. And for the champions each week in each category for each age group, we give them a shout out on our podcast. And
hooray! And for the most recent week, swimming.
20 to 29, H. Keener 305. 30 to 39, Me West. 40 to 49, Try Again. 50 to 59, Trek Tim. Nobody older than that. And for you and I, we didn't go swimming this last week.
Running.
9 and under, Easy E. 10 to 19, Soleil. 20 to 29, Lexi with 2 X's. 30 to 39, The Logan. 40 to 49, Sarah 906. 50 to 59, Trek Tim. Nobody older than that. And featured members, me.
Walking.
9 and under, Easy E. 10 to 19, Lucky Dude. 20 to 29, Smitha. 30 to 39, Wildcat. 40 to 49, Vino Mia. 50 to 59, Teddy 68. 60 to 69, Pac Mac. Featured members, me.
Biking on road.
20 to 29, Husky Mike. 30 to 39, Cyclopath. 40 to 49, Try Again. 50 to 59, Trek Tim. 60 to 69, Kilogram Ill. Feature members, me.
Biking off road.
20 to 29 was a tie yet again. Smitha in Super Mario. 30 to 39, Dirt Devil. Blah. 40 to 49, 906 Laker. Nobody older than that. And you and I didn't go off-road.
Sit down paddling.
20 to 29, H. Kaner 305. Nobody in the 39-year-old category. 40 to 49, Tim 906. 50 to 59, G. Smith. Nobody older than that. And kayak is still on the wall in the garage for us.
It's cold in the water here.
Yeah, you know what? It's supposed to be 85 today, and they said the lake temperature is going to be 48 at the surface, at the shore.
I said the water is still cold here.
Yeah.
Stand up paddling.
20 to 29, Gator Boy. 30 to 39, Me West. 40 to 49, Jesse's Girl. 50 to 59, Mary Mary. 60 to 69, Sunny D.
Cross-country skiing.
Nobody.
Skating.
20 to 29, Gator Boy. 30 to 39, Benny. 40 to 49, Coach T. 50 to 59, Herb. 60 to 69, MRH313. Featured members, me.
Hockey.
9 and under, Yellow Ninja. 10 to 19, Soleil. 20 to 29, Lexi. 30 to 39, Moose Man. 40 to 49, Coach T. 50 to 59, Herb. 60 to 69, MRH313. Featured members, me.
Points.
9 and under, Easy E. 10 to 19, Soleil. 20 to 29, H. Kaner 305. 30 to 39, Me West. 40 to 49, Try Again. 50 to 59, Trek Tim. 60 to 69, Sunny D. And featured members, me.
Good job, husband.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. This has been another episode of the Red Arrow Health and Wellness Podcast. We drop episodes almost every week, and they come out on Mondays these days.
Hooray!
Monday mornings. We'll have another episode next week. Thanks for listening to us, and you can go back and listen to any of our other podcasts. This is episode number 63, so you got 62 others to go choose from.
Indeed.
But until then, we got a lot to get done this weekend.
We do.
Yeah.
Let's go do that.
All right. Bye.
Bye.